So I ask you this question. Is the one pencil different or is it flawless? Something to ponder. From time to time, it may be different. From time to time, it may be flawless. But it just depends on where we're actually at that given time. That in itself is a human condition. And that is understanding what you go through from day to day. Some days you may be up, some days you may be down, some days it may be different, some days it may be perfect and flawless. But again, it's all about living. So Linda Lee and I, we're putting this thing together. We're examining these questions. And in the course of examining them, we're starting to see and ask ourselves questions. We're starting to understand a little more, some days more than others, it just depends, that so oftentimes we go through life and there are little parts where we feel maybe that we're a little different or something just isn't jiving right. There may be some sort of mysterious emotional component that creates that. But what we're finding is by giving those feelings voice and by talking about them with each other, with others, we start to get a glimpse that a lot of us from time to time go through this stuff. A lot of us have those down times where you're feeling different or something's just not jiving, a little anxiety probably, or something that's just not there. That is just a simple part of the human condition. We are amazing structure, amazing being, entity, whatever you want to call us. And there's so much that goes on. Sure, we have families, we have girlfriends, we have boyfriends, we have relationships. All that stuff has bearing on who we are and how we operate. But by keeping it in perspective, you start to get this understanding that my moods and how I see things are so often affected. And when I'm feeling different sometimes, or I'm feeling isolated, or just things aren't clicking, it's just a small inventory that just needs to take place. Reach out, talk to someone, ask them, have you felt this way? But therein lies our biggest issue sometimes, is we lock ourselves in this prison of feelings and emotions, and we don't share and compare. Quick story for you right here. Years ago, I did a Dale Carnegie course. It's probably 20 plus years ago. And at the end of the course, we all had to get up and talk in front of the class. Well, you know about how that went. A bunch of business people coming together. There's a tremendous fear to get up and speak in front of people. And at the time, I thought I was the only one. But as we talked among our group, everyone had this major fear. They thought they were going to screw up. Well, as it happens, some probably did, some didn't. But there was an understanding and an acknowledgement that we all had this fear. So in actuality, we were all normal. And I think that's what kind of happens with us going through life sometimes. We go through this stuff through our days. Something may throw us off. And all of a sudden I feel different. And I feel singular. And I feel like I'm the only one going through this. But if I stop and I have a confidence, I have Linda Lee, thank God, I can share some of these things. And when you step forward, you realize that a lot of it's just common sense. And we don't really equate common sense with an emotional component. But there's silly stuff that our brains and our egos kind of do to ourselves. And we find that as we break through this stuff, life becomes easier and easier. Another quick story for you. When I actually met Linda Lee, within 2 months actually of meeting her, I was able to share my deepest and darkest secrets. I mean, all the skeletons. I mean, yeah, the drinking, heavy drinking, the addiction stuff, that, of course, I always did that. But there's actually more skeletons. Why I did this, I have no idea. But I've come to learn that something inside of me recognized that this was the one, that she needed to know everything up front of what she was getting into. Now, she tried to run away several times and I stalked her. That's actually not true. She accepted me. She accepted me. And it was like crazy. It was crazy to me because the dysfunction that went on in my head and the understandings that I had are just freaking ludicrous a lot of times. But I was able to work through it. But I dumped the skeletons. And in dumping the skeletons to her, I found out. Well, I didn't find out. I just kind of gained confidence in that. So little by little through my life, I've shared my story and I've shared my skeletons. And I've dumped them. And the funny thing happened along the way is the skeletons no longer had any sort of dominion over me. They didn't dictate who I was. They didn't dictate what I was or what I was going to be. I took the power away. This is me. Bottom line is I've screwed up a lot. I've made bad decisions, but I've learned from them. And I've not let those decisions and those mistakes that I did define who I am today. Just as I didn't let my upbringing define who I am today. I created who I am today. Just as you can create who you are today. So life's kind of like, it's like a babbling brook after a summer rain. You like that? That was written down. Anyhow, but it is like that. It just flows. And things just kind of go. But just go with it. Make it happen. If you feel in that isolation, reach out. Find someone. Talk to a stranger. A stranger doesn't care. They're usually occupied by their own stuff. But just dump it. It'll make you feel better. It'll give you confidence. And it'll give you dominion over your fears and your skeletons. It's common sense applied to the emotional component of your life. You can do it. I believe in you. I believed in myself, and look what happened. You got all this. But that's another story. Thank you. See you soon.